Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is me, Victor Dmitryevich Huliganov, once more time. Today is 11th of August, and still will be 11th of August when you see this, if you manage to upload it on time, or if not, maybe in a few days' time. But I thought it was good time to pay the rent for August. Already this is number 13, because I started to do the rent in August of 1 year ago. Already is a year later. I started to do interesting rents because they turn out some things to be true, because in the year that is gone behind now of renting, one time I predicted in one rent even the economic crash 2 weeks exactly before the downturn was announced and the problem of the subprime mortgages. So this all came up in my rents 2 weeks ahead. If you had listened to my economic forecast in the rents at that time, then you would have been in a position to know what to do with your money ahead of the time when everybody else knew. So if you're new to listening to my rants, okay, there's no point in going back now to the earlier ones, although you can, just to substantiate what I'm telling you. If you don't believe me, you can go back and find it. But listening to me, you will find out things what will help you to get rich and stay that way. Okay, so you keep on watching me. That having been said, I don't take any legal responsibility. If you follow my advices and you lose everything, then it's not my responsibility. Not taking your shysters to make me go to court. I won't go anywhere. I just send them back a letter telling them what pigs they are. Well, I might not do that either, because it's probably a risky course of action. They probably might go in their lodge and get their, some of the boys to come round to see me. But, maybe they're not the only ones with boys, who knows. Anyway, enough of that. What I will say to you now is rent for August. And what is happening now? We have had the 8th of the 8th of the 8th, especially lucky day according to Chinese people, because finally they managed to host Olympic Games. So, the question really is, first of all, I don't understand. I really don't understand this. Okay, what is going on with this Olympic Committee? What kind of people they are having in there? I think they are a little bit sick in the head, quite honestly. Sick in the head. This Mr. Pirogi, or whatever his name is, I don't really know. But he is sick in the head, and his friends on the Committee of Olympic. Because every time they want to pick a place to go, they pick, what will be the city for this time, what will be the city for next time, what will be the city for the other time. What are we now in? Medieval ages where you got city-states? That's stupid, isn't it? Why pick city here, city there, city the other? Surely, the way to play it is to have a region involved, a region wherein is plenty of wide open spaces. If these people are all Olympians, then surely they can live in tents, can't they? These are supposed to be tough guys, and yet they all want to be in the 5-star hotels. They want to be in cities where there is smokes. Look at what the problems they have. In China, normally in Beijing, they got 9 million bicycles, okay? And a lot of those 9 million bicycles have got engines attached to them and 4 wheels, because they're putting out an awful lot of smoke, okay? And what they did was, they have made 4.5 million of these 9 million bicycles, okay, with the 4 wheels and the smoke, go on alternative days, so that they could reduce the smoke to only half what it otherwise would be if everybody's bicycle was going on all the time, full time, 24/7. I think they've got the same system in China of 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, but you never know with them. They got their funny horoscopes and things. Anyway, and mathematics with funny symbols in. But anyway, you know, they an ancient culture, and the only way to come and to understand Chinese culture is with a certain degree of humility. You cannot say that, you know, the Chinese people are, you know, some kind of primitives. They were mucking about with gunpowder when we were still only able to use very primitive weapons. And they had kinds of art and poetry in the earlier days of civilization, what we didn't have. And they had very advanced writing systems and ideas before we had them. So somehow or other, I don't know how it is that they managed to get overtaken economically by a lot of the world, but you can't write them off. Okay, right now they call themselves the Middle Kingdom, which is Zhongguo in Chinese, but the Middle Kingdom, and they probably are. They are the middle way through the world. They're not the worst of people in the world. They are able to invest in places like Africa and Latin America and be like a rich country, providing lots of capital to them. Okay, but still they're able to undercut with their so-called cheap labor most of the markets for labor in the West. And in fact, what they're now becoming is gradually brokers, where they're getting supplied from very, very, very poor places, and they're supplying to us, and they're the middlemen making quite a lot of money. So, okay, they were communistic, they had a Maoist ideas, they got rid of business and the enterprise, but then they realized that, okay, you can't do without a certain degree of mix in the economy. You have to have business ownership because it's too deeply ingrained in human nature. Every economy is going to be a mixed economy, and if we want some kind of Maoist or Marxist system still to prevail in our country, we can't make it too pure. We have to get back to the idea of a mixed economy. The same, of course, in the West, the other way around. You don't have a purely, you know, laissez-faire capitalistic way of doing things in the West. I mean, even in Russia, which has thrown out communism and gone the other way, you don't have complete laissez-faire capitalism. It's close, but it's not complete. They still have, you know, a public sector. They still got laws. You know, they still got protection of certain natural monopolies in the hands of the state. So, you know, every economy is a mixed economy now. And every economy has got some social provisions for poorer people, has regressive taxation, just almost about more. Not every economy has regressive, but or progressive or whatever it's called taxation, where you got more being paid by the rich, even proportionally more paid by the rich to support the people who needed, you know, a kind of cradle, a support under themselves at the poor end of society. You know, this is the way the social contract has panned out in the end. So, you know, some people are saying, well, Marx was right, but it just didn't come with the revolution. Effectively, what we do have is people, you know, the working classes being supported by, you know, everything going around for the benefit of the working class. Of course, they get more, I think, relative benefit from the state than do the middle classes sometimes. You know, if you want to be middle class, everybody want to be middle class, not working class. But you know, if you want to be middle class, then you're paying for it by getting your economic privileges whittled away because you're paying more taxes and not getting much in the way of benefit. But you know, you had to work to get into that situation in the first place, and then you're gradually losing it. But you know, the theory is that if that happens, that at least you won't be in a country where there's lots of drugs and crimes and everything. That's the theory. I mean, if you look at Britain these days and many of the West, you see that theory and practice are really quite different. And what was one time the middle class, if you like, little secret that they had, that a lot of them like to use recreational drugs, which is absolutely wrong. It is a very, very bad course of action to take, and I would think that if anybody is using drugs, you know, what you're doing is you're basically killing your brain. Yeah? So if you want to kill your brain, then, you know, Why not do it cheaper way? Just put a gun to your head and pull the trigger. It's quicker, And I think that the high, you probably will find that the high is even better than the highs you're going to get from the drugs because it's over a lot quicker, yeah. And apparently, it really feels great if you do it. Nobody come back to tell the tale, but it's really the ultimate high. So if you want the ultimate high, then don't waste your money on marijuana and on the ecstasy tablets and amphetamines and all these other things. Don't waste the money on that. Just take the bullet, go to a secured place, put the bullet into the head, pull the trigger. Okay, you're going to get this great natural high. It's going to be fantastic. All the pleasure centers of your brain will get sparked at once. It's going to be like orgasm number one in your life. If you're not a drug addict, then don't listen to that advice. But if you are sort of like already taking drugs, then you'll find that my advice just now is very good for society. Anyway, what I want to just come back to is the Peking Olympics. I say Peking because it's what I want to talk about now. Everyone say, "Hey, he said Peking." Oh, yes, I know it's Beijing. I even know what Beijing means, although I can't remember just now. Either it's the eastern capital or the northern capital or something like that, one of them. And and I also even knew one time how to write it from memory, although I probably would get the strokes order wrong now because Chinese writing, it goes through your head like water through a sieve. But the thing is, we got told off. I said, don't say Peking anymore, it's Beijing now. It was always Beijing in Mandarin, and it was always Peking in Cantonese. British people had colony on Hong Kong, and they learned to look at China from the perspective of Cantonese language. And in Cantonese, Beijing is Peking. So in the English language, up until probably 1970s, people always used to say Peking. And then when political correctness come along, they say, oh, the Chinese people, they don't want you to use Cantonese word to describe area which is not even in Canton or not in Guangdong as they call it. It is in mainland China, it's up there, and the language there is Goyu, that's Mandarin. So you want to say the Goyu variant and say Beijing. Don't say Peking, because they will be upset if you call them by the Cantonese version of the name. Just goes to show that you're still thinking about them like they were your colony, like they were your little canton there that you used to have. It's an imperialistic approach to China to call the capital Peking. Okay, little doggies, what are called Pekingese from a tradition, that name stick. You don't have to call them Beijingese, okay? But when you refer to the place, you should say Beijing. That's what they tell you. But they didn't tell this to everybody. So right now, in Poland, in a lot of other parts of the world, they don't refer to the Beijing Olympics. And if you are talking Poland, did you look at the Beijing Olympics? They say, Bay what? Baywatch? I'm looking at Baywatch, but I'm not looking at any Olympics there. I don't know why they would look at Baywatch myself. I have no idea what possible attraction could have, like watching Pamela Anderson running down a beach. What possible attraction could that have? It's beyond me, But in any event, they say we're not watching Beijing, we're watching Peking, as it is in Polish. And on the newspapers it's all Peking. They apparently, nobody put any pressure on anybody else. Change your names of Peking to Beijing. Everybody else was allowed to carry on saying Peking. But if a British person say, or American person say in the English language, hey, Peking, then all the Chinese people say, bullshit. So it's not Peking, it's Beijing. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to get the Chinese annoyed. Nobody wants to get 1.4 million people with nuclear capabilities annoyed, if you can help it. So some people say, should you boycott the Olympic Games because it's a invasion of Tibet. Well, I will say this. If you're not going to boycott Olympic Games because of Chinese invasion of Tibet, and I'm not saying that I would. Do I look like a Buddhist to you? Okay? Yes, you can use this Dietrich Bonhoeffer's idea. Yes, if you don't shout out when somebody else gets invaded, then there'll be nobody else to shout out when you get invaded. But basically, I don't really know much about Tibet and what it all is there and what the Chinese-Tibetan conflict is all about. I don't pretend to be a great, but I also, it completely leaves me cold. What this whole Shangri-La business and all this Tibetan Buddhism. If I were a Buddhist, perhaps I would be jumping about it, but I'm not really. More of interest is what's happening now between two Christian countries, and that is Russia and Georgia, of course. Now, these are two. Georgia is not an Islamic country, even though they are from the south. They got an Islamic country nearby, which, for example, Azerbaijan is an Islamic country, and also places around in southern Russia. There's a lot of Islamic places there, but Georgia is actually a Christian nation, which makes it even more tragic than when two Christian nations are in conflict. But what can you do? Same thing was in Ireland. Two Christian nations were in conflict over part of Northern Ireland for a while. And of course, what finally arrived in the Good Friday Agreement was, if we have a situation where people who are Catholic and want to be united with the South, if these people increase in their size of the population, if the voters, people over 18 years of age, in the referendum, vote yes, we want a union with the Southern Ireland. Now I say Catholic, maybe it'll be that you get a Catholic who doesn't necessarily want it, but usually the division is, broadly speaking, along Catholics are for integration for the South, mainly Protestants are in favor of keeping it with the North. Personally, I'm a Protestant, but I have no problem with living with Catholics. And I have no problem, personally speaking, with that Ireland should be a single nation, even though I'm a Protestant. Okay, I don't know, maybe other Protestants think, oh, you're a bloody turncoat. But quite seriously, it's down to more in terms of historical things which are political and not a religious. There's no religious reason in the Bible why a Protestant cannot live as a Catholic, okay, and be part of a Catholic country. It's nothing to do with your religion. All you're doing now, if you're a brother Protestant and you're saying, because I'm a Protestant, I want to be an RNI, it's the same for you're letting politics get in the way of religion. There's no reason for that. We don't need to have in the European Union that Britain, one country, need to have a little piece of itself in other places. Oh dear, okay. I just have to take this now. Maybe later I resume. Okay, so I completely lost my track because of telephone call. Never mind. I will still want to say a couple of things about these Olympic Games. And basically the main thing that I want to say is this. Stop having it in the cities where there is a big smokes and start to have it in the countryside. Putting the athletes into nice tents, not into big 5-star hotels. And let's get it back into the countryside. The original Olympic Games were not in a city. They were on the mountain Olympus, or Olympus, or whatever they call it. So, why do they not do it now in the countryside? Why do they have to involve cities in it? And massive amounts of investments and huge, great big loads of money make. It's just a great big money maker. And how can you keep politics out in this situation? So this brings me back to Ireland, Georgia, Tibet, question which I was talking about before was interrupted by telephone. Georgia, okay, Russia goes into Georgia, one Christian nation invading another. Very tragic. Why does this have to happen? Good Friday agreements say you get to the point where in Northern Ireland most people want to join. Most people want to join Southern Ireland, they can do it. Okay? Why can we not have the same accord in Georgia? Before, already 1 year ago, when I was criticizing Sacha Baron Cohen for pretending to be Russian or Kazakhstanian when he isn't, and people shouldn't do this, I also mentioned about Georgia. Lots of people afterwards commenting that I'm just pushing Putin's line. Actually, I'm not pushing Putin's line, because Putin, as far as I'm aware, didn't say the same things what I'm saying. So I'm saying this. Give the people a referendum. What's wrong with giving people democracy? I thought we were interested in democracy. Well, obviously not. People only seem to want to give referendum when it suits them. Whereas the whole idea is that you should be able to give referendum when it suits the people, and not just the elite. So, the Georgians who are in control of the area, they didn't give referendum. Now, but thankfully, what happened in both South Ossetia and in Abkhazia, you got a situation where there's like a little mini referendum done anyway. Because 90% of people living in these areas, they're Russian passport holders. Now, is Georgia saying this? Is Georgia saying, this is our territory, these are our people, and we will give them, but we don't want to give them any Georgian passports. So let them keep being Russian passports and let them be second-class citizens in this country. Are they saying that? Or are they saying, and if they are, then they get what they deserve, right? Everybody will agree with this. That treating people like second-class citizens where they live is out of this, out of order, and they want to join the European Union. Yes, funny. Or are they saying this? Yes, sure, everybody who live in Ossetia and Abkhazia have a Georgian passport, become a Georgian citizen, enjoy being Georgian, enjoy the rainy nights, and have yourself a nice Georgian citizenship, be first-class citizen with Georgian passport, forget that you are, Russian. Yeah, you can be Russian speaker, but you are a Georgian now, like in the Ukraine. Not every Ukrainian speak even Ukrainian. Not every Belarusian speak Belarusian, but they say, I'm Belarusian, I'm Ukrainian. They could do the same in Georgia. You don't have to speak Georgian to be Georgian. Do they do this? Well, if they do, the fact is that 90% of the locals reject their offer anyway. They want to be Russian. They got Russian passports. So, what does Georgia do? In they go, making a little order, thinking, oh, United States, they are behind us. What they don't quite realize is these Georgians, most of the Americans who say, yes, we're backing Georgia, yeah, they don't realize what Georgia they're talking about. They think they're talking about the Georgia which is there in Dixieland. They don't realize that they're talking about Georgia which is over in the Caucasus. And if they did know that it was Georgia in the Caucasus, they probably would say, well, I'm a Caucasian, so I obviously support the Caucasus. Do you think that America will do anything now to support you Georgians, now that Russia is going in to give you a little tap on bottom? I don't think so. You wait and see. They are not they are trotting along happily to Chinese Olympics, and I'm not saying they shouldn't. When China invaded Tibet, what do you think they will do for you? If they cannot even rescue Shangri-La, and they go trotting along to the cities of smokes just to show off their athletic prowess, what do you think they will do in Tbilisi? If we go into Tbilisi, do you think they will do anything? I don't think we will go to Tbilisi. You can be very grateful to Russia that we do not go there, but I don't think that we will bother with it. I think we will take what is ours and leave. But even if we did go to Tbilisi, and even if we did put you in a proper state of order, then what will America do? They need for Russia to say, yes, you can go and invade Iran and we won't do anything with it. And America want Russia to say this. Russia doesn't feel like saying this too much because we don't have a problem with Iranian at the moment. But if, they are sitting now saying, oh, this will get in the way of U.S. Russian détente for the next how many years, they frankly don't even know this, because quite honestly they don't even know who's going to be winning the elections in a couple of months' time, and that's going to be the main determination of what we want to what will be achieved, what Americans want to do in other parts of the world, because obviously one party and another party could have different approaches to how things work out with this. I'm getting all these pop-up things with my spams coming up. Sorry about that if you see me looking in different directions. Anyway, I have to clean them, I can't keep going. But anyway, so what you tell me what you think, Shouldn't the people of Abkhazia and the people of South Ossetia, if they chose, if 90% of the people who are there said, yes, I want to be Russian, and this is my home, this is where I live, and I want to be Russian people, then, should it be that they're not allowed to determine themselves? Because if this is the case, then what is with the Good Friday Agreement? Why did everybody call that one a great big negotiation success? What now caused peace in the Ireland? In fact, it caused a peace and the disarmament of terrorists, so that you don't have the problems there anymore. Hopefully not, and and eventually, in due course, there'll be passage according to the principles of the Good Friday Agreement. Will be passage of Irish province of Northern Ireland democratically, and the unification with Southern Ireland in due course. But if you say, yes, this is the model we're going to use, based on what the people who live there want to have, then why not apply it to Abkhazia? Just because everybody wants to take the Russians and say, oh, you're the bad guys. Why? Because you cannot seem to stand the fact that in Eurasia there exists a country of, in fact, it's not so large, 170 million people, which is, as far as potential and as far as resources concerned, the richest country in the world, considerably richer than Yao. So, just get used to it. Just get used to it. If you wanted to beat us, the time to do it was before. You won't do it now. So, bear it in mind and be happy. Is a counterweight, a counterbalance to the way that you do things. We are not your enemies. There is a Russian song that says, «Мы мирные люди, но наш бронепоезд стоит на запасном пути». So, it means we are peaceful people, but our armored train is waiting in the siding. You don't want to mess with the Russian people. You don't want to mess with the Russian people. Okay? We didn't get where we are today by being softies. Do Russians look soft to you? Take a little look at some KGB training footage, some Russian army training footage. Tell me whether you think those people look soft. Okay. We are not afraid. That's one thing you need to learn. We also, if you look at Russian history, we're not afraid of sacrifice either. We're not afraid of the scorched earth policy, even on our own territory. We have seen off every single aggressor, from the Tatars and the Mongols through to Napoleon, Hitler and everybody else. So, Do you think that it was wise of this very small nation to start to try and oppress our people that lived on a place which they thought was their piece of dirt? This is the people. We are interested in the people. There is no oil in this sector. It's not like the Americans do, to go to a place and say, well, first let's look to see where the oil are. In fact, we have more oil per person in the people if we don't go there than if we do go there. But this is like what was done by Britain when going down to rescue from Argentina the Falkland Islands. The people who lived there, they were not concerned with geography, with the fact that somebody thought that the Pope had told them in the Middle Ages that everything in Latin America which is below this belonged to Spain, this therefore belonged to Argentina, not Britain, la 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 la. Only consideration around the world, including America, United States of America, who gave the intelligence then to Britain in the time of Margaret Thatcher, was the people who are there. They wanna be British, so they're gonna be British. They wanna be, they're gonna be. They want to be loyal, they want to be part of this country, they can be. Now, Abkhazia, Ossetia, they got two options. They can be Russia, they got three options. They can be Russia, they can be Georgia, they could be separate countries if they want to be. You know, you can get this special little pack these days. You want to be a country, you get a special pack, you buy it from the United Nations, and in the pack you've got a three-letter abbreviation for your country, you got a two-letter abbreviation you can use for the internet, you get a dialing code free in there as well. It's a little pack, it's called the New Countries Pack. It costs $19.99. Anyway, if they want to be little countries, they can become little countries. Just go to United Nations, say, I want to be a little country, send me little countries pack. And you will get it. Okay? You will get international recognition, everything like that. So if they want to get it to be a separate little country with neither Russia nor Georgia, they can do it. Recently, this was done by several places in the Balkans. And I think the latest one was called Montenegro. I think it also bought this little countries pack and got started on its own. And now Kosovo want to do the same thing. Bastards want to split off from Serbia. Well, you know, they bought the little countries pack, and now they're going to do it, and everybody will be giving them money just to put up their Coca-Cola canning factory and their McDonald's restaurant just in another country because they bought the little countries pack. Okay, nice investment for Kosovo. Unfortunately, not very good for region, but we will sort this out in due course. Never mind, we'll get there. We got time, but we'll sort it out. Anyway, back to this. What do you think? Three options. Join Russia, be separate little countries with the little countries pack, or be in Georgia. Let them decide themselves. That's what Huliganov is saying. Don't listen to anybody but the people concerned. Don't listen to Putin if he says different to what the people living there say. Don't listen to Bush if he says different. And certainly don't listen to Saakashvili because he has the most to gain by taking this. He can increase his country size by such a big percentage overnight. By taking South Ossetia and Abkhazia into control, he's doing as much as if Russia would invade Europe and China, in extending relative to his starting size, his size of country. That's this kind of enormity of what he's doing relative to what he is as a country and what he represents as a population. So, we're not going to do this. We're not going to invade Europe, and we're not going to invade China, and we don't see why Georgia needs to invade Ossetia and Abkhazia either. I'm very absolutely adamant about it. So, calm down, people who now saying Russians are being aggressive. It's not aggression. Okay? And no thing, we're not, okay, there's a bad precedent. Hitler, in order to invade Czech Republic, he used excuse of Sudetendeutsch. Is it bad treatment of Sudeten Germans? Okay, this would be, a bad precedent, which you could throw at us if we, for example, took the whole of Georgia, but like they took the whole of Czech Republic. If he had just taken area around Liberec where they were living the Sudetendeutsch, then everybody could say, yeah, okay, he was really only concerned with his people there. And that's what we are doing, okay? So please, no more of these comparisons with Hitler. It is, I'm claiming Godwin's law here. So, nearly got to the end of what I want to say. Beijing. If in English you can say Peking, then you shouldn't be able to say it in other languages either. Either that or let's get back and start calling it Peking again, because why should we be intimidated? Just because it's a very big army with enough people to really take over most of Eurasia, but shouldn't let it worry us. We got more missiles than they do. What's the other thing I wanted to say? Yes, reading on the toilet. Now, I want to encourage all of my viewers. There's a final thought today. If you do not read on the toilet, then you're wasting your toiletry time. Because while I discovered this, while you are on the toilet, you have to concentrate on something, right? If you do not concentrate on something, then you will be more feeling what you're doing with the bottom part of your body. And this is not good. You need to take your mind off this, especially if you got in a diarrhea or if you had a curry, you got what they call the ring stinger. You have to think about something else. So, very good thing is to have a book. And if, for example, you might, take a book which is not easy to concentrate on normally, like a computer book or something like that, telling you, some difficult new features that you got to get used to in a computer, something which you normally might even find a bit boring to read. And you take it into the toilet, and I can tell you, it's magical. You really start to concentrate on the things which normally you wouldn't find it that easy to look at. And you really think, yes, oh yes, this is interesting algorithm, oh that feature is good, didn't know it was there. Just to take your mind off what is going on down there. So if you find that you can't really get into a piece of writing, or reading a piece of writing, you find it difficult to read, then just save up for when you got a really, difficult piece of ordure to work out of your system. And then take that piece of reading with you into the toilet and use it there. It's a good technique, it works, and I hope it brings a lot of happiness in your life. Okay, enough ranting for August. See you again in September with the September rant. And don't forget, don't mess with the Russians. Thank you.